All right. And we're here. Guys, Overpower launch party. Thank you for coming. 6 p.m. I know it's not prime time, so thanks for making the time to specifically come over here on a Tuesday night. I know Tuesday, beginning of the week, you guys are probably tired, but first of all, to everybody out there on YouTube and all our other streaming platforms, thank you very much for the early motivation for getting it up here. I didn't go to bed till it was at 100K last night. That was awesome. I think we're at about a little over 160,000 right now. So we are right on track. We don't have any plans on stopping. We've got a ton of stores that told us they haven't bought in yet. We've got a bunch of people that said they were going to follow that just haven't had the time. So we expect to see this. We expect this to be a slow counting up for days, and then we've got a bunch of awesome marketing and commercials and influencers that are going to be doing some more reviews for you. Just a lot of great content. So, but guys, we did it. We funded it in 10 minutes. 10 minutes, under 10. That was incredible. Thank you so much. Thank you isn't enough, but the fact that we were able to get it done so quickly, just really was sent a message. We had the distributors directly writing us messages to congratulate us. So they're really excited about Overpower and carrying it and selling it to stores. So guys, we're back. We're going to have to stop saying Overpower lives and just say Overpower's been alive for a while at this point because it's doing so well. So I'll run you through. I was giving the guys in the that were attending over here in the Discord a little bit of a preview, but what we've got tonight for this launch party is we kind of wanted to go less scripted. So we're going to pull people on, have some fun chats, maybe talk about the playtest a little bit if people want to. We're going to bring Danny back out, chat with her a little bit at some point about the Kickstarter and how everything's going. We've got some great products to show you. We've started to get samples in from a few of the companies. We've narrowed it down to a few who are going to create those add-ons that you guys have been seeing that you can add on. So we've got a few samples of those. They're production samples, so they're not as high quality as what you will get, and they're still pretty awesome. So looking forward to showing you guys some cool stuff there. We'll probably start with some of that. We're going to show you some very cool promo cards that are going to be available if you guys are going to be with us at New York Comic Con at all. Stop by the booth, do a demo, be nice to us. We'll probably throw you a Leonidas hero. The Witchblade hero that we're going to show later, that is Comic Con exclusive, and you have to have pledged a tier. Doesn't matter which one, but if you come to the booth, you show us your phone, you made a pledge, you're going to get a Witchblade hero. Those are only going to be given out to people who have pledged a tier and are at the con. So they are going to have a very limited run. We expect them to be highly sought after. We think it's going to be a very big collectible. So if you guys have any way to get out to New York Comic Con, or somebody that's there, you get them to even just jump on, buy a starter deck, whatever it is. As long as the person with the phone comes up and they've pledged, you're going to get one of those limited edition Witchblades. And then I'm sure people will be putting them online after as well. So that's some of what we got in store. And then we just got a lot of other kind of great fun stuff to talk about. So I think let's just jump right in and show some cool products. So let's do some interaction here, guys, because this is a launch party. It's not a launch me talk at you. So let's go into this Discord thread that I can see. Do you want to see a playmat? Do you want to see a binder? Do you want to see the sleeves from Titan Shield? Whoever's making the most noise here. What do you guys want to see first? Type it in. We got 1 vote for sleeves. We got 2 votes for sleeves. I think sleeves are going to go pretty fast. All right, we got a binder. Let's see. I'm going to give it probably. So now we got sleeves and binders. Sleeves. All right, we're up to 4. Binder. Wow, this is neck and neck. Binder. Oh, guys, we're 4 and 4. All right, what do we got? Lunch party. Ooh, I could use some lunch. I missed my flight this morning, so I had to drive to New York. All right, guys, we are tied up at binder and sleeves are at exactly the same amount. I need 1 more vote. Binders or sleeves? What are we going to do? Are you both at it? 1 more. Binders and sleeves. I'm glad you guys are both. Sleeves. All right, we're going to the sleeves. Thank you, Ivan. Votes are in. Ballots have been turned off. I'm going to go with. All right. Let's see how our camera does. So these are a full bleed art sample that we just got in from Titan Shield, our new partner. We had a great conversation with them today about the Kickstarter. Got a lot of congratulations for them, and these are what we're going to go with. So we've examined, they sent us 3 samples. They sent us 2 gloss variants, and they sent us a matte variant. We're going to go with the gloss. I think you're going to, hopefully it comes through on the camera, and you're going to see why. The art looks really phenomenal. So this is one of Wilton Santos's early Wicked Witch images. So Wicked Witch in the book, as I talked about last night, she summons bees, crows, and wolves, and not the flying monkeys. So that's one of her specials. It is she has an 8 multi, very reminiscent of the original set, and we represented that as her being able to summon all of those animals as one of her 1 per deck. Because she's able to do all these different things with the different creatures. We went with an 8 multi. So this is going to be a sleeve that's one of our 1 per deck. I don't believe this sleeve is actually available. This is just for the sample. So I'm going to try to get it a little closer, get a little zoom in here from the camera. We were getting real good zooms with the camera. Oh, you know what it is? Now it's my fault because I have all these out. It's still focused on the ground. All right. I don't know. I'm going to try to go closer and see what you guys can see for detail here. Yeah, so you can see this piece of art has some great detail with those wolves and the crows. I'm doing the backwards thing. I gotta get used to moving the opposite direction. I would make a terrible weatherman, guys. If anybody ever thought I should go into doing the weather after this, you're wrong. Yeah. So these are great sleeves. Great quality. I don't know what else to say. We went with the gloss over the matte. I feel like it really, really makes the art pop. So we'll keep the art this way because as I'm being told, I'm upside down. That's sleeves, you know. They sent us a bunch of packs of them. We slid cards in and out of them. We did this and got like really rough with them. They don't break. They've got a lot of give. You're not going to get what we call the flat tire very easily, where the sleeve goes in and like if they're cheap sleeves and you shuffle them and they do this, they'll like split the edge. It's not doing it, so they're very sturdy. A set of these is going to last you. I mean, you can see I just beat the heck out of this one, and it's still not even in the worst shape. So these things are going to do pretty well. We're very, very happy that they're going to be providing it. So you guys, yes, I see your comment there. The God Wilton Santos, he does some fantastic art. Man, he did some Mina Harker art for her specials that I just saw the other day. We're to the point in the art creation process where we're trying to make sure the lore for the little story we came up with makes sense, but there's more crossovers with the characters. There's a great piece where one of Mina Harker's specials, she's like attacking Robin Hood, and they've got her. It's like one of the only ones where you don't see her with the kind of really pretty face. She's got the kind of Buffy the Vampire Slayer vampire face, and she's like pinning Robin Hood down, and it's awesome. It's just really awesome. As you can see, I get very excited about it. So that was some sleeves. I'm going to go with the second runner-up, but equally cool, and show you guys. We have a production copy, not the final copy, but pretty close, of one of our binders. So the 2 arts that we're going to do for the binder are the Mina Harker and the Invisible Man. I think I'm going to be right here. I'm pretty sure. If I get this wrong, forgive me. I'll look it up after. I believe this is Alexander Nascimento did this one. Sean, I actually see that you are in the audience here. If you can double check me that that's who this artist is, go click on that file and check, but I'm pretty sure that this is the one that it is. So, binders. It's got a cool little semi-wraparound art, round edge. These binders are currently standard 40 pages. They've got your little safety strap here. So let's go to the top-down view, Ronald. So we've got it's got this little strap here to hold it shut, like most of them do. I haven't been particularly nice to it because I'm trying to kind of use it roughly. So you've got the what's straight up and down here this way. So this is one of our cool pictures of. You can see the Invisible Man. A lot of his cards in the game they're built around like him being able to evade things or him being able to do attacks that are harder to block, face down attacks, everything from him. He's definitely a cheaper character, but he's built around kind of a little more like if you think of one of the Cape Citadel characters in the later set. Those characters had a lot of smaller attacks that were difficult to block. That's a lot what you're getting with Invisible Man. This is his common hero card, and you can see he's whipping off all the bandages as he's trying to run from, we're assuming, a cop or a criminal that's on his tail here. So standard 40 pages. You can see we got the typical 9-card breakdown. You can see flips back and forth. We've got side loading. So all of these binders are going to be side loaders. We'll grab some cards out of this and give you a little test run. So, you're just they slide right in. You can do your hero. You can keep all their specials in here if you want. And then if you wanted to, if you get multiple of the same special, you definitely have enough to fit. That's 3. 3 definitely fits in there comfortably. I mean, you realistically could fill these pages with, that's 5 specials, and it doesn't even feel like it's putting stress on the joints of that slot. So if you want to make sure you have 2 play sets of each non-1 per deck that you go in there, you could easily fit 6 cards in each one of these slots for your non-1 per decks, have multiple heroes. You'd be able to use them in 2 different decks or have a friend borrow a full play set and not worry about it within each one of these slots. I am currently, we cannot promise this, it will be a minimum of 40 pages. I'm trying to talk to the manufacturer to get a page added. If it's 41 pages, since they're double-sided, I'm sorry, I say 40 pages. That's each face I'm considering a page. So it's 20 pages, but you can put cards on both sides, just to be clear. I'm being told I'm not being the most clear on my language all the time in these. So I'm trying to make it so there's 41 faces, or 42, so 21 pages. That'll allow you to fit an entire set in the one binder. So if you get one binder and just do your heroes and your specials, you'll be able to fit all your heroes and all your specials in just your one binder. And then the idea would be you'd have your long boxes with all the other cards that you have as backups and trades. But whenever you want to build, you could actually just set your binders and have your, Edgar Rice Burroughs, your Top Cow, I almost said it. I got to watch myself. And the other set that's yet to be announced. I actually think if there's any miracle in this whole Kickstarter process is that I haven't spoiled this yet. So, yeah. So this is the binder. So this is an example of what you get. And as I said too, even this, which I think looks really good, this isn't even the full tier printing. This is this is like kind of the quick and dirty just to give us a production copy. And once we decide we're going to go, we'll get the even better versions of it. So, yes, this is a Guns N' Roses shirt. Thank you, Josh. Not Overpower related. I always wanted to see Guns N' Roses my whole life. They came to Boston. I didn't have tickets. And my buddy won tickets, one of my super close friends, won tickets on the radio. I didn't even know they still did that. And he called me. He's like, dude, I just won Guns N' Roses tickets on the radio. And so I got to see him in Fenway, and I bought the shirt. Anyway, back to Overpower. You guys didn't come here to hear my glorious tales of getting to see Slash in person. All right, so guys, let's do something fun here. We'll save the playmat for a bit. Let's look at some of the promos, because we have examples of our promos for tomorrow. Let's see if we can line these up right in the middle of the table. Let's hold them a little closer. So you guys have seen this art. It's animated in our commercial. Ron's going to give me a little zoom action. We are becoming more tech savvy here. So this Leonidas is, oh, sorry guys. I'm going to get the hang of this upside down thing. All right, we'll try to get the focus in here. I'll try to make them straight for all you people who need things like this to be straight. This is about the best I'm going to do. Again, just, we've done enough of these test printings and play test printings that you never really know till you see the card with how you put it together, what the art's going to look like on the card. But we've done enough test printings and enough like trial and error just to get like our bleed areas and our proportions, and we've really got to the sweet spot because both of these cards came out. They both exceeded my expectations. You know, the Witchblade one in particular is just such a cool image. It's so dynamic. Thank you very much to Top Cow Comics for letting us do a Witchblade as the New York Comic Con promo. Yes, I think Shibayo. I think it is Alexander Nascimento. I think I just wrote the name wrong in there. Okay, so I got that right with the Invisible Man. But anyway, let's talk about Leonidas. So this Leonidas artist is Raymond Gay. As you guys know, we just unlocked a new piece to be included in the set. So we're going to up the number of rares. He's going to do another rare that's going to be available in the set. We were already emailing about it today. I saw the writing on the wall, so I was prepping him a little ahead of time. So the gentleman who did this card, and I'm going to hold it up a little because I feel like we're still not quite getting the full glory of the Leonidas. There we go. Really awesome detail on this card. It's he's got such a kind of really traditional, really detailed style, and he's got his own colorist that we work with that I'm a really big fan of too. The colorist does some amazing detail on these red capes and hoods and the fire effects. So Raymond, he's going to have a booth at Comic-Con. He's at booth 3935. So if you guys are going to New York Comic-Con, 3935, artist Raymond Gay. He does a bunch of Ninja Turtle comics. We are going to send a bunch of these over and get them signed. We're going to grab a silver Sharpie and just get him signing them until he kicks us out of the booth. And we're going to have those. We're going to have some of these after. So this is our common New York Comic Con exclusive card. It's not going to be as rare as the Witchblade. We're not going to be quite as strict about it. But that is one. And you'll notice too with these, just so you'll be able to, we're not going to print them again with that New York Comic Con logo. So that's how people are going to be able to tell right here that this is the one that we gave away at Comic Con. It's only going to have that for the Comic Con exclusive. That is our Leonidas. Now let's take a look at the one Witchblade. I really want to get a good shot of this one because, as you can see, this is from this is art that was used in the new Witchblade #1, but you didn't get to see the whole picture unless you looked at the splash images at the end. It was used a little bit differently within the book to tell the story. But as you can see, it's this really cool image of Sarah Pazzini not long after she's gotten the Witchblade, because this new one is a reboot, and she's just wrecking like half a dozen guys in this picture with the Witchblade tendrils going everywhere, and their guns are flying. And again, we're even with the new camera, which is awesome, it's just not doing justice the different ways that the colors are laid out on it. And yeah, let's look at I'll look in the chat a little bit. Can you spoil what the next Raymond Gay card will be? I don't see why not. We kind of chatted about it a lot, and he's going to take a crack at the Mummy. So he's going to do his kind of version of the really deep. You saw the Mummy art that we had for the specials. We've got a great artist that did most of the Mummy art, Cuberball. He's got he's the same guy that did the Headless Horseman. He really excels with kind of the darker color palettes, and you'll notice he's done things like he did the teamwork with the Mummy and the Invisible Man, did a great job on that, so he sort of carried his Mummy over to the specials. I'm really interested to see Raymond's take on it because he has such a he's got. I'm gonna put it down now. You guys we'll put these on the table for you. See if you can see them. Hold on, I gotta do them like this. There we go. Yeah, Raymond's style is so detailed and in a real just like very not. It's not particularly like abstractly stylized. I'm not the guy with the best words to describe art, but it's very grounded, accurate proportions. But I love the way that he does the detail. It just really brings. He doesn't just give us a picture; he gives us a whole scene. Like even looking at this Leonidas, you guys can't see it, but there's he's got multiple arrow wounds, and there's, a little bit of blood on the shield. He's got fire in the back where presumably trebuchets have launched some flaming artillery at him. There's Spartan helmets all over the ground. There's arrows everywhere, which is sort of an homage to the "We will fight in the shade" line. He's got the banners behind him. This is there's just a lot in the picture. It tells a whole story, and yeah, I'm psyched to see what he brings us with the mummy. So, yes. So if people are asking, I'm trying to keep up with it. So the same gentleman that did this is going to do the mummy. Yeah. So those are your promo cards. I know not everybody can make it out there. We're planning to have a lot of cool promos when we go to different events. It's going to be harder for the completionists to get everything, but not impossible. So, yeah, but this particular Witchblade one, it's going to be pretty rare. So, come and see us. Tell your friends. If you know anybody at the con, have them come out, and they'll be able to get their hands on one of these. We've got some, if we've got any left, maybe we'll even give it to them in a Wicked Witch sleeve. See how they look when they go in. See that? They go right in there. They even look great sleeved. Ugh, I can't get it. I do it backwards every time. Anyway, all right. So we have gone through some promos. We've gone through some sleeves. We showed the binder. I've got something else left. So we're going to show you a sample of one of the playmats. It looks really good. It's at about it's in the middle stages. So we didn't want to show you some of the stuff that was really not far along in the process, like the deck boxes. They'll get there, but it's a part of the production process is getting different types of samples. So this one's not quite as far along as the other two. It's in the middle stage. But I can talk a lot about it because there's the material and the other parts of the sample. But we've got here, we'll show you in the straight on camera, one of our Mina Harker playmats. So again, she's a little bit of a favorite of mine. And so this is the full palette of her character card that you don't see. We've got these guys doing a lot of extra canvas when they do these drawings, just to make sure we hit our bleed areas right. And this one lent itself very well to the playmat. We'll switch to this top-down camera view, and I will get it right this time. So this one, the only thing that's really not hitting the mark on this one so far is the colors. We've got to send them. Oh, come to me more. We've got to send them some physical color samples, which is a normal part of the process. The colors are a little oversaturated, so you're not getting this image quite as sharp as it's going to be. It still looks very, very good. But the things I'll say that are great with the partner that we're going to be working with, we believe, on these mats, you get a very good thickness. I forget the exact measurement, but as someone who uses a lot of play mats, they're actually thicker. If you had any of our 2-player play mats from the Battle of Boston event, these are thicker. They've got the stitched edge, which is, I really like the stitch edge. Yes, somebody just asked about it. They'll have that. That's great. It really helps keep the edge nice. It's got a great feel to it. The rubber on the bottom. It's got the not perforated, but tactile rubber, so it's not going to slip or move around when you play. And I think, again, these things, they're just done with a high quality, and they're really going to last. So, you can add these on to your orders if you haven't already, and feel comfortable knowing, you're not going to need to. They're not going to be a cheap quality one like you might have gotten in other Kickstarters. These are very high quality. So, take a look. I keep saying his name, another Wilton Santos one. I've given him credit for this one a lot. I really fell in love with this picture. I love his interpretation of the castle in the back. I actually love that you guys get to see. This is what I see when I look at the cards. You're getting to see a little more detail. The bats are great. It's she's got a little bit of the mist at the bottom here because she's got the same powers as Dracula. You can see a little bit where she's like starting to turn to mist. We assume maybe that's her castle, like the Harker residence that she has now, and just the detail he's done with these clouds and the sky, and he really goes all out when he does these images for us, and can't thank him enough. They're fantastic. So this is your single player Mina Harker playmat. Leave it out. Oh, sorry. I keep hitting the table and shaking the camera. I'm sorry. I'm used to the camera not being on the table. All right. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna get, guys. That's we unfortunately don't have other samples for the rest of the stuff quite yet. We do. They're just not quite far enough along. We're still working on the color and making sure that different things are ready to a point where we're comfortable showing you guys. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm not going to take the same amount of time I did last night. We're going to do this real quick, but I'm just going to open up and give you guys some of the cards from the starter decks with a little bit of a better camera for you to take a look at. So Ron's going to flip me back over. So you got to see some of these last night, but I think, Ron, I feel like I'm getting a really yellow tint to these. All right, so Ronald's gonna work on this tint here for a second. So we might let's wait a second on jumping on these while he gets some stuff in order there. And sorry guys, this is part of doing this out in New York on the fly, so we don't have quite the same equipment that we have at the studio back in Boston. But let's field some questions from the chat while Ronald's doing this. Then maybe we won't have Letty having to stay up past her bedtime tonight. Letty, anything good you've seen in the chat so far?
Yeah, I have some questions here.
Oh, let's hit some questions.
Okay, so there was one here. Any plans to do Dune cards?
Dune, like with an N, Frank Herbert? I'm getting the support staff likes that idea. Nothing's off the table. I definitely feel like those would be a further down the road thing. We want to keep it in the realm of comic books as much as we can until we get through all the comic books I think we all love that we want to get through. And then we'll be looking to branch out a little bit more. Now, that's not to say that we won't. But we're open to anything. If there's characters that it makes sense to have from that universe, like if we were to do like a Star Wars or a Dune, I don't think I'd want to necessarily do like the big ship to try to represent stuff that way. So superheroes definitely lends itself better to what we're doing. It's really a superhero game. Yeah. So the answer is we don't have specific plans for it. Nothing's ever off the table, but I think it would be a couple of years out at the earliest. I don't think it'll be where our focus is. I think if we shift away from comics at all, we'll definitely try to go through some companies or genres that already have crossovers or adjacency. I can tell you one personally I'd be all about doing that is on our radar, and I'm trying to not speak to things that I'm not supposed to talk about, but let's just say that Capcom would be one if I had a wish list that would be showing up eventually. So Capcom brings you so many great titles. They already had the Marvel vs. Capcom game for years, but being able to have characters from Street Fighter, from Resident Evil, from Devil May Cry, from Strider, from the Darkstalkers franchise, if you ever did Darkstalkers from the Japanese games, Mega Man, Ghouls and Ghosts, even the Arthur, if you wanted to. There's a lot of meat on the bone there, so to speak, to make a set. So, I mean, who doesn't want to have Ryu on his team and throw Hadouken fireballs? I've even in my head had hilarious ideas of a mechanic where the Hadouken's like his make an additional attack, but if it can be defended by another Hadouken, and then you both get to go get a Hadouken, and then you can just throw the Hadoukens at each other till they're all gone, and whoever had more gets to hit the other guy. Which, if you've played the game with an older brother who just throws the fireballs at you nonstop until he hits you, you'll understand the joke. All right, what do we got next?
Okay,
any other questions?
Yeah, we got from here on the New York Comic Con promo card. Is the New York Comic Con logo the only unique thing about the card, or will the card be available in future sets as well?
So for the Leonidas card, the New York Comic Con logo is Not going to be on the other version. This will be one of your ultra rares. This will be one of the rares or ultra rares. We haven't made exactly the distinction which will be which. It won't have that logo. Our intention still is to have the artist signature on the card. And then as we talked about, we're going to have legal text and the artist's name and a set symbol eventually, which will live down in small print, like you used to see on every card. But that's something you're not used to seeing because they didn't used to print that on the character cards. But that'll exist on all of our cards. So we definitely want to make sure the artist minimum and the set number are appearing on the character cards. So you'll get a little bit of information down here. You won't get this. And then what we want to be doing with these is our plan is to get all of the artist signatures digitized and to have each one of the rare cards have the artist signature either at the bottom or over here, somewhere where we can fit it, where it doesn't make the art completely unappealing. That's what we hope to do. We either way will credit the artist. The only thing that's going to stand in the way with the signature is we already have some characters that we're struggling with. For example, Merlin has a very big inherent ability, and it's making us, there's not really the best place to put it on there where it isn't taken away from the piece. And we haven't gone through that many cards to try to place it. So our plan is to have them be the signature series. We just can't promise 100% that that is the artistic direction we go. But this one, to answer the question, you will get this version of the art. Our rare alternative art heroes, you'll notice, all don't have the words on it. So our common heroes, like the common Zeus, is going to have your energy, combat, brute force, intelligence grids, and it'll say it in the words, the very classic Overpower character look. Your rares and ultra rares, we're removing the words so that these, artists that we're hiring, they're going to get the full palette to play around with. That's also going to be true for the common version and the New York Comic-Con version. But yeah, the two main differences, won't have the Comic-Con icon, might have a signature on it. Now the Witchblade, however, is different. So the Witchblade, take it out of this. Wow, look at how easy it is to remove it from this beautiful sleeve here with this art. The Witchblade, this is the only version of the Witchblade that's going to have this art. We are not going to print it with this art again. This is a one-of-a-kind New York Comic-Con 2024 only exclusive. So you will not get this Witchblade with this art again. You will not get it with the New York Comic-Con symbol showing it was one of the first promos for this set. So this is, to answer your question here, when you get your Witchblade in the Top Cow set, when you see other alternative art rare versions of Witchblade, you're not going to see it again with this art. So this real cool limited edition one that will be tournament legal is only going to exist from New York Comic-Con. So let's do one more question, Letty. What else do we got?
All right, we got one from YouTube. Any chance of any other exclusives at other Comic-Cons in the future?
Absolutely. I mean, we're planning a whole slate of Comic-Con appearances. I can't say that every single con will have a unique exclusive. I assume we'll get to a point where we do it a little more like in seasons. But we also love bringing you guys exclusives, and we love creating different variants of the art, and it's working with the different artists. So nothing is set in stone. But absolutely, we've got, what do we have? 8 to 12 we've already scouted out for.
8, definitely.
Yeah.
12.
Yeah, so in the ballpark of 6 to 12 next year. We still have a window where there's a lot of cons that happen. For example, we will absolutely have a presence at PAX Unplugged going forward after this year, because PAX Unplugged is one of the biggest tabletop gaming conventions in the world. I go every year anyway, but it's going to be great to have a booth there. It doesn't really make sense for us to do it in December. The campaign will have just ended. We don't have the printed product fulfilled yet because our print window is after it. So we're not going to go to every con right now yet. There's not as much of a reason to. When we get a little closer to fulfillment, we get into the 2025 year, Overpower is going to have a presence at most of the cons. Anything that's game heavy and comic book heavy or adjacent, we're going to be going to both and having people demo the game. And we're running 4 demos at once in the booth all day and night at New York Comic Con. So we're hoping to show a lot more people the great art with Overpower and get some converts. I'm so excited for you guys to see the booth. I'll talk about the booth a little bit before we look at more art. But did we share the booth? Can we share the booth? Should we share the booth? Ron's gonna see if he can share you guys the booth. It's really impressive. I don't even want to say anything in case he can get it up, but the Comic-Con, we're super excited about it. Just getting to meet a bunch of people. New York, if you don't remember, was if you didn't play at the time or if you weren't like as much into the tournament scene back then, New York was the big Overpower hub, one of the big hubs. So that's where Norman, who worked, I met him, I believe, at Neutral Ground, who did a lot of work with Ron and Steve, the original guys from Neutral Ground. Yeah, they did a lot of stuff out of. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. New York had Neutral Ground. Garth, who did a lot of work with Ron and Steve from Fleer when they were working on the game, he worked with them to help them with the organized play. He was there. Big tournaments were held there. I still remember going to Neutral Ground for a huge tournament after IQ dropped, right before Monumental was going to be a set, and Norman had gotten a bunch of uncut seats. So for Monumental, and we got to see ahead of time like the X Babies and their Inherent, and everyone was going crazy. But my point of talking about New York so much is we think there's going to be a lot of people. There's 200,000 attendees at New York Comic-Con, and I suspect we get people every single day, literally every day, that write us and are like, I just saw your ad. Is this related to the old game? So people are still finding us, even with all the ads we've been running, and I mean, I'm seeing them constantly. So I think we're going to get a lot of people that walk by and ask us if it's the same game, and we get to tell them, yeah, it's back, show them the art, tell them they can get a Witchblade promo if they pledge, and hopefully we're going to get a lot of more people and really build up the New York play area. So there's going to be a lot more opponents for you guys. So, all right, guys. So let me bring you this exclusive. I'm not going to tap the desk. I almost wanted to. Let's show you guys a quick little sneak peek of what our booth is going to look like at Comic-Con. So this is just a mock-up of what it's going to look like, but you'll notice we've got those Witchblades and Darknesses. Those things are 12 feet tall, I want to say. You notice they've got the lighting scheme. We've installed a bunch of, installed. I'm going tomorrow to do the build out, but they're going to have like super cool, bright neon lights behind it. We've got the big Overpower symbol with the glowing green, like our specific gem is. Just gems sometimes have a magical property, and maybe this magical property is that things are coming back from the past, and green just seemed like a color that went along good with that. So we're going to have that green light behind the Overpower sign. We're going to have a bunch of our starter decks on the shelf so people can get a look at some of the boxes. And then all those panels, the actual Lazarus and Overpower logo will be on the two skinny ones in the front. And then each one of the larger panels are going to be displaying some of our art, including the Deja Thoris art that people mentioned. We're going to have our 2-player color playmats from the tournaments on top of those 4 tables. We're going to be running 4 demos at once all day for anyone that wants to pop in and learn a little bit about Overpower. And it's going to be 4 long days of us making a ton of converts into Overpower. So that just gives you a quick example of what you're going to be seeing over there. Yeah. No plans to live stream from the booth, but we definitely we're creating content that's locked in. There'll be some cool content that we get for you. So you're definitely going to get to see some video on the ground. You're going to get to see some guests that stop by. I think there's going to be some pretty cool stuff you're going to get to see once Comic-Con is done. I don't know what else to say about that. I'm stoked to see that booth in person for the first time. So we'll definitely make sure we're going to take plenty of pictures and plenty of video, and super happy that the whole founding team is going to be there. So John Sawyer, Keith Bursack, David McMillan. If you want to come and talk to any of them, we're all going to be there. You can come meet the design team, tell us what you would have done differently, and Dave, I'm sure Dave's always willing to have a big rules debate with you, so you can get Dave to do that. And then It's going to be really fun, though. I couldn't be happier to be working with this team. You know, it's been such a amazing, surreal experience. So, let's go through some art with the decks, and then we're just going to call on some people and bring some people up on stage and spread the love here. So, like I said, I'm not going to spend as much time going through these, but we're just going to try to give you a little bit. I think it's going to get if it fills the whole screen, though. So, if you can see that Zeus, again, great coloring, really popping on the effects. Here, let me try to keep it here. We haven't been able to yet to really, again, you guys got to see these in person. The colors. Ugh. Oh, there we go. That one's looking good. I'm just going to make Ronald hold them up to the camera. See, that's great. That one you're actually starting to get a little bit of a better idea of those colors and the detail on her green cape, on the lightning, on the blue sky. This is the one I really like. Good. I'm just going to hand him off now. This one I think is one. That one just came out so well. The coloring on that one too is, you know, our colorists are fantastic. They're doing such a phenomenal job. Yes, Sean Soria. This is one of his favorite artists, Iguara. He's doing some great work for us, and you're going to get to see he's doing a lot of the King Arthur art. King Arthur's going to be on the 7 combat, which you guys haven't seen yet. Such a cool power card. Everybody's going to want that power card. All right, let's show you the big one, the lightning bolt. Now that we can see the colors a little bit better too. Boom, there you go. Who is on the 8 combat? It has not been created yet, but it's been assigned. Philip Tan, who did the Deja Thoris art, is going to do the 8 combat. It's going to be Leonidas. So you're going to get a nice 8 combat card with Leonidas on it. We've got the banishment there. Now you can kind of see the Minotaur horns and the snout where it's getting he's getting whisked away. We'll show you. We got our angry mob here. Now you can start to see a little bit of detail of them storming the castle and breaking the door down. Here's the fun one where they're all swarming the Minotaur, the version of Atlas from the new game, our version of it. It just goes to show you, if you get enough angry villagers from the Middle Ages together with pitchforks, they can handle a 12-foot tall Minotaur. We're going to need a little more. We're going to try a new. Oh, look at this. We're developing. Oh, that's perfect. Look at that. We've got a nice and close view. This is Don't Let It Get Away. They've trapped them in the cave. They're going to all swarm past the defenses. That's the one that lets you ignore the cards in play. I particularly like this art. It's a little more of a modern rendition of an angry mob. Yeah. Oh, one thing we are going to do, guys, I forgot to mention this at the top, but what I'm going to do after we kind of have fun with some art here, we're going to read you the character list. So our sleuths online have accurately identified 40 of the characters. So we're gonna go through the list and we're gonna read those 40 characters out for you. If some people know, then all the people shall know. Pitchforks and torches, another, the lighting effects that some of these colorists can do with the firelight reflecting through everything. Our Wicked Witch. Boom. I'm trying to get these things straight. More of the Amazing Santos. This one, his coloring, he colors his own stuff, which is super cool. I think that he even does both. He's got such an interesting color effect, a really subtle greens and in darker and lighter hues all through this magic effect he's doing. And the camera's not really doing him justice, but trust me, when you see these, we'll continue to leak some of them online too. Actually, that's a great one that you can actually go find that one. I don't know if you go watch the Eastbridge tournament edition of Overpower Adventures, you'll definitely be able to see that one because we talked to Doug for a while, Doug Sims, and he was nice enough to let us premiere some of his art on his podcast. So we're going to try to get even closer here, guys. You mean to move there? Wow. The longer you stay, the better the image is going to get. Look at that. There you go. That is an aquaphobic Wicked Witch. We've got Dorothy in her on the yellow brick road in her, book accurate kind of yellow plaid dress. I guess it's just a plaid dress. Here, I'll move this. You're hitting the. All right, guys, let's find the center of the table here. Right there, boom. All right, we're solved. We're going to keep plowing through this. So we've seen that card. Let's get another one out here. Let's see how we can see this one. There we go. And I will say too, we've got some makeshift lights that are a little yellower, so we're not. Some of the colors here you're just not getting. This has a really beautiful like aqua kind of atmospheric look. This pink force field she has is super vibrant, and again the green on the magical effect is really really cool looking. So silver shoes, making a grab for those silver shoes. Let's show a fan favorite and see how this one looks. Ardesia Thoris. Avoid one attack, may not be attacked for remainder of battle. Absolutely fantastic piece of art. I still think maybe my favorite one so far. Boom. Deja Thoris Hero, another Philip Tan. Amazing card. 17 points, 6623. No inherent ability currently. Fan favorite. We've got your Tarzan mission. Boom. Classic Joe Jesco art. Can I fit 3? I'm getting ambitious here. I'm doing 3 at once. I'm not going to go through all of these. You guys saw these last night. I don't want to bore everybody. You don't have to sit through the same thing, but let's see. Let's find I'm just going to pick some of my favorites. So I love this one. If you guys get a little bit of a better look, that 6 energy. Man, I can't wait for you guys to see these colors. You're already liking these, and the greens are just popping off the page in this one. These gradient effects. It really looks like when you're looking at the Northern Lights in person when you look at this card with what's going on behind her. That's a fantastic one. The one I talked up a lot, the Iguara 8 multi here with Ra the Sun God. Ugh, such a good job. Yeah. Any really cool ones? Let's show. I'm gonna pop open the horror menagerie and just show you. Let's look at the hunger because I particularly like that piece of Santos art. So, Pumpkinhead. We got to look at the Pumpkinhead. So this is gonna be the art on one of your double player play mats. Let's see if we get this a little closer. If we can really see that detail on the pumpkin. Yeah, and it's still you're not even getting. That's way cooler, but you're still not even getting like quite how detailed the fire is. And that even just on there looks pretty awesome like that. Let's look at the hunger because this one's pretty cool. Again, Mina Harker. You guys know I like her. I think she's just cool in the game too. That piece of art's got a ton of great detail through the. Ron's gonna do it again. I keep making him get up and down. The vampire herself, Mina. All right, let's put those away for now. We've done a bunch of looking at cool art. Let's go to. Let's bring some people on stage. You guys want to? Let's bring to start with. Let's see who we've got in the audience for founders. Let's bring Grifter up here. So guys, this is unlike normal guests. We're just going to be doing audio for when we pull people on stage because we're not set up to do the multicam the same way we normally do. But John, are you cool coming up here? He's got his hand raised. He's coming on up. John, let's give away some characters here. I'm actually going to just go on. I'm going to use my phone here, and I'm going to pull up my character list. But Sean, can you unmute and talk? Oh, do we have to let Sean talk? He's got a microphone with a Ghostbuster symbol around it on my screen. Sean, can you talk?
Yep.
There you are. Can you guys hear him okay? John, say something. Mike, check it.
Hello. Testing.
Oh, very good. John, we're going to go through the whole list, so I'm going to bring it up. But why don't you talk about what's some of the characters that you can think of off the top of your head for the set? Because we're gonna reveal everything for the set, basically.
For Top Cow, yeah.
No, no. For World Legends.
Oh, shucks. Oh, you got me all excited. Yeah, I'm trying to think of you just showed the what
we went through the two starter decks both nights. So so they've seen Deja Thoris, Wicked Witch of the West, the Angry Mob, and the Zeus. That's the Ungodly Powers. That's 4. We've got the Horror Menagerie we went through, which is the Mina Harker, Headless Horseman. The what? Oh, cool. I just got it fed to me. So this one has Mina Harker, Headless Horseman, the Mummy, and now I'm spacing out. Hold on. Does it say back here? Who's my 4th hero on? Oh, Cthulhu.
Cthulhu. Of course, Cthulhu. Well, I'm sure you've seen Billy the Kid. His art is a different style other than any other art that you're going to see in the set. We have almost like an old Western watercolorist doing Billy the Kid, and it really fits the character well. And it's just beautiful. I can't wait for you guys to see him. We also have Joe mentioned Robin Hood being choked out by Mina Harker. Robin Hood is a fantastic character. Joan of Arc.
Have we talked much about? Tell us about Robin Hood. What's Robin Hood like in the set?
He is robbing. He's stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. He makes you discard a lot of your cards if you place them. So one tactic is to not place so much. Take him out early.
He's even got. You can tell him about his Master Thief card. Do you remember what that does off the top of your head?
No.
So that one is it's a combination of a draw 3 cards and a discard, where the threshold is less cards, but he targets you and makes you discard a power card, and if that's successful, then he gets to draw 2 additional cards. So it still nets the same number of cards, but it gets a guaranteed discard of something. So even with that, it's the idea is it's making the other player have to seriously rethink his placing strategies, because not only is Robin Hood going to be able to cherry pick things off with a lot of cards, he has cards that hit and have a secondary discard effect. He has just a target character discard a place card, but he also has one later that does something and then gives him a draw. So that kind of goes back to the idea from a design perspective of instead of just scattering them around to say like, oh, we've got this, let's give it to 7 random characters. We're really trying to build characters that feel like what they do, and some of them will have more of a concentration of one effect, specifically, in that single character. So,
and speaking to that, and Robin Hood's, I guess, goes hand in hand with another character, the Sheriff of Nottingham, and I personally think the sheriff's cards are pure flavor. It really feels like you're maniacally attacking the peasants, swarming people. He's probably the most flavorful, I think, in the set. He's real fun.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think like I did a little bit of the design with him. I thought what was fun about designing him was being able to there were definitely certain mechanics that made sense to put in it that we hadn't proliferated to other people. So he's got a rule by fear card, which the idea is everyone's afraid of him. So they're letting the soldiers go wherever they want and really dig in and get entrenched. And so we gave him just the +2 to all actions. And he's the only one that has that. And it's interesting when you form these new environments, when you get to see cards that are way more powerful in a certain environment than that card's always been strong and only a couple characters have it. I believe it's just the +2 to all actions is just Maverick and Professor X. But in this one, I think it really you can play it defensively, and this is a great point to Dave can speak to this later. We've separated the really weird, unpopular, just weird, I don't know how to describe it, rule that currently exists where in Overpower, you can play a +2 to all actions with an attack currently in the tournament circuit, but at some point the Legion ruled that if I play Professor X's +2 to all actions, I play an 8 energy power card, that is a 10 as it comes across. If someone negates the telepathic coordination, that also gets rid of the 8 energy attack, which I think is a very poor interpretation of a different way they were trying to rule, like avoid a attack with a universe card or something. But I've never met anyone who likes that rule. You can speak up in the chat if you do, but it's kind of, I feel like, I don't know. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. There's no rhyme or reason, and that happened a lot with the old Legion rules. That somebody thought it was broken or overpowered or unbalanced, and they just did a hot fix, and it didn't really make sense. But we going forward with the design, we're first and foremost, does it make sense, and does it make sense for the character?
Yeah. Totally. So what the point of this is, now that that's separated, you can negate the +2 to all actions, and the attacks still come through. So it makes it a card that has a little bit more utility, which is awesome. So that Sheriff of Nottingham, guys, confirmed in the set. Another mechanic that we hadn't really revealed. Sean, you designed. Let me go through my list here and talk about. I think you guys had all these listed, but. So, I believe.
Yeah. What about the this one character that we're super excited to put into the set is he's seeing a lot of resurgence with the release of a new video game, and people are saying that it sold like 35 million copies, up for Game of the Year. People love this new video game, and that character happens to be in our set. So we're really excited to show you guys Sun Wukong, who is from Chinese lore, and he is the basis for the Goku character in Dragon Ball Z. So very powerful, very fun character we're going to have in this set.
Yeah, and Sean did the design on him. So, so that's where should talk a little bit about you, Sean. When you were the one that when we did the design, the very initial pitches are done by one person who knows the character really well and is excited about it. So what was your approach going into designing Sun Wukong?
Well, it's a good question. Unlike any of the other characters I've designed, because Sun Wukong is one of those people, comic book fans will know, they got the Rob Liefeld effect on this character. He's just good at, if you ever read like Shatterstar, and they even talk about it in Deadpool, the movie.
They joke on it, yeah.
He's just better, and he's so good at everything that you could arguably say he's like a 7, 8, 8, 4 or 5. He has a 3-page list of his power. So one thing we tried to do is what will benefit the game, bringing that character in, and how can we do the character justice, working within the confines of the threat system and what can he bring to the team, and he's really a high threat level powerhouse where you'd want to center your team around. But we tried to make, some of the key points, some of the stronger abilities, like he can like lift a mountain. Well, of course we have his super strength represented in the special cards. He can turn to stone. He makes illusions of himself, copies of himself. He really can create some sort of a confusion in the battle. So that was really fun to try to incorporate some of his more marquee powers into the character. Unfortunately, he can also talk to monkeys, and he has telepathic link with every monkey that's ever been born. We haven't quite figured out how to put that into the the special cards yet, but door's not shut on that one.
Yeah, so some of these we do have to keep them in the realm of making sense. They can't have every ability. So, but Sun Wukong is going to be one of your 8 combat characters. There's an example. That's kind of a little more of a promo piece that we got done by Gonzalo, who did our original power cards. I don't know where that piece is going to end up living yet, but yeah, that gives you a little bit of an idea of how we're viewing them. We got some, actually, that's one of the pieces that Jim Chung did, one of the rare ones, which we haven't spoiled yet. That's going to be, probably that one will end up being an ultra rare. He did a really cool version. I think we've talked about, if you're not familiar with Jim Chung, he's just one of the 2000s era's best artists for Marvel. He drew the whole Avengers vs. X-Men crossover. He drew I'm pretty sure he did Siege when the Dark Avengers in Asgard fought. He did the Thanos when the Black Order was first introduced. He was one of the go-to Marvel artists for that, I want to say 2011 to 13-ish period. Yeah, but he's great. So we were super excited to get to work with him. Very nice guy. Did a great job on the piece. He did actually. One of the reasons we kind of pitched him Wukong was he did a run on Shang-Chi that I really liked, and we felt like a lot of the themes in his Shang-Chi art obviously have Asian inspirations, and that it would work good with the Sun Wukong art. So. Yeah. Any other personal, Sean? A lot of us, I think, have gravitated toward characters we didn't necessarily design. Who's your favorite so far in the set?
My favorite to, I don't know. I'm very partial. I did design Sun Wukong, and he was he's one of mine, and I loved him. And he was my favorite for a long time. But I just recently started play testing with Ra, and he is super fun. I don't know who designed him, but
I did the initial design on Ra.
That was a joke. I also did Ra. I'm not biased to my own characters. There's a lot of characters that I love. For example, King Arthur is really fun to play. And I've heard that from a lot of playtest groups that they also like King Arthur. So King Arthur is really fun to play, but Ra is an 8 energy guy we have with some unique universe cards, and really fun to play. More of a support character. Yeah,
we've announced that we have advanced universe cards, but why don't you kind of describe to them what the advanced universe cards are going to be like?
So an advanced universe card it essentially plays like a basic universe card that only the character can access. And what we did was we separated the Staff of Ra into 3 pieces, 3 unique universe cards that he can equip. And once he has all 3 pieces, he becomes very powerful. Like I said, it was really cool to play to design him with the thought of him not being such a blaster, but more of a support character where he can enhance the team. And that was really cool to get to use him. And he does have that feel where he buffs people, and he has only 1 powerful attack that he can do. Really fun. He's more of a healer and a buffer.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is I've seen a lot of from the playtesters, different ways they use them. Some try to build the staff up and just like, kind of do his ultimate, if you think of it like a video game, and some of them, his abilities that the staff give him are so powerful too. Some people, I think, have already said, like, I would never discard them. I just want to keep the abilities. And that's, I think, another great thing about, and this actually, Marcel just asked a question in the chat. Do we plan on making cards for the same characters in future sets? We're never going to say that we won't do that, but it's not our current plan. Our current plan is to try to give them 5 to 6 very, very strong cards. That strong as in like they're playable, they're designed well, they're balanced, but cards that are going to see play. And what we're actually hearing for the feedback from most of the people is that there's too many cards to play, or there's different builds and they want to use it this way, but they can't because they have to do this other thing. So right now we're hoping we don't have to do that. I feel like the reason to do that would be if we said, hey, we want X character to be more powerful. We want X character power type to be a little more in the meta. So the hope is not doing that. The hope is when you get your set and your character has 6 specials, that's that version of the character's 6 specials. And then if, for example, 2 years from now we did a world ERB in the World Legends 2, and circled back to like these characters in this set, we would introduce new characters in that realm, and then we'd maybe do, depending on whatever the lore of the story is, like with other games, we'd do like a version of the time traveler where we find him at this point after like some years have passed, or that's really more the direction we're going. And you see this is really a symptom of modern CCGs. The old CCGs, when Overpower is out pretty much through its life, they didn't age sets out yet at that point. Even Magic really didn't at that point. There was cards that were, I think they called it the restricted list, and they would get rid of like certain cards in certain standard formats. But, when you're talking late 90s, I feel like it was later when they really established that they had legacy, vintage, standard, eventually modern. So I think the whole idea that like, you're always going to have a character that has all the specials and you'll just add to that kind of infinitely whenever you want. That's not really the design space we're going to be going for. So what's the difference between an advanced universe card and a special? Well, one is the placing slot that it goes in, which is a big part of the strategy. So it gives you the ability to place it in the universe card slot and still place one of their specials. And that gives it a lot more utility. It can't be negated when it's played. It's not a special card to be negated. But you'll also start to notice as you see more cards in the set, we have more cards that kind of pick off individual cards that have a remainder of game or remainder of battle effect, or wipe the whole field like a little Iceman did in the old game. So there's a little more of a balance there's more effects that kind of go into play and remain to alter the battlefield. There's also more cards that can deal with those effects. So that's a few differences with advanced universe cards and specials. And we also, we've got a lot of different design space for where we want to take that particular card type. So there may be a point where you see advanced universe cards that are versions of regular universe cards that give you different abilities, like maybe hitting someone with a lamppost would have an effect other than just boosting the initial attack. Again, everything we say here is kind of just things we've been ideating, but that's sort of where we see this particular new card type going. So characters can have specific ones, like like I can talk about Top Cow. So Blood Bow and Top Cow. Nothing's final yet, but I'm pretty sure we're going to make his bow an advanced universe card. That might be something where he can like start with it in play or fetch it, and it could be gotten rid of to lower his basic power. So yeah, so that's that. To answer your question, that's kind of what we're doing with advanced universe cards. So, what do you guys? Let's get another founder up here to celebrate. I see Dave's right at the top of the list here. Liz, do you want to go through the whole list, and then let's call Dave up in chat. Let's just give you guys a read through of the whole list because you've been sticking it out for a while. So this is the list that we have right now. All of these have been spoiled, probably mostly by me at some point. So we're going to go through the list. So we talked about Anubis. I think we showed on one of the Q&As at one point a limited, one of the rare versions of Anubis's hero card. Anubis, has a lot to do with the dead. He can do things that interact with KO'd heroes. Billy the Kid we've talked about a lot. Billy's got, he's got guns in a universe where there's not a lot of projectiles. He's definitely got some utility from reserve. He's got a pretty cool inherent ability that lets him do stuff from reserve, but he's also got some really interesting mechanics that we came up with. There's a cool quick draw mechanic that's something I'd say probably the most progressive thing that we've done with Overpower, and it's again another fan favorite among the playtesters. I think if any playtesters want to chime in on how they've thought of quick draw. And Billy's a great example of characters. We're trying to give reserve characters, not just pigeonhole them to being reserve characters. We're trying to make sure that Billy's somebody that I've used him in reserve on a few of our playtest decks. He's done very well, but he's definitely like on the front line kind of a guy too. We're trying to find guys that do both. Captain Nemo, fan favorite of mine. I've loved him ever since I read the Alan Moore run of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I went on to read the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Captain Nemo is a great character, and we're trying to be really true to all the lore about him never leaving the boat and the history with his family. So you'll start to see when you see his mechanics that same thing. But we're definitely having a little fun with the fact that our version both designed and built the Nautilus, the big submarine. And so he's sort of our version of that's kind of his Iron Man suit, so to speak. He's the one that can invent this big crazy machine that has like weapons of mass destruction practically for that time period. And so the Nautilus is a big part of where his abilities come from. Carson of Venus. So that's our first one on this list in alphabetical order from our Edgar Rice Burroughs license. So if we got any Edgar Rice Burroughs fans in the house who've read Carson of Venus or read any of the Carson of Venus comics, Carson of Venus is in the same realm as a John Carter of Mars in the fact that he's on another planet and he's interacting with alien species and having adventures. He's got telepathic abilities. He's a very smart character, and you'll sort of see him. He's a dual 7, which we don't have a lot of in this set. So, and not a super high price, but he's got some cool effects. John, you designed the Count of Monte Cristo. He's right up there. He might be. I keep going back and forth with whether he or Moriarty are my favorite. I really like our intelligence characters. I think we've done a great job of making them feel like they're doing things that are more intelligence motivated and not just like big smashing attacks or projectiles. John, do you want to spoil so far the mechanic for the 4 multi? I'm sorry, not
is
the 4
that
multi, the 4 brute force with the follow-up?
The follow-up that gets played face down?
That's the one.
Oh, did I spoil it?
No, that is the spoil. So the
No.
Count of Monte Cristo's. Sorry, go ahead.
No. You go ahead. It's been a while.
So Count of Monte Cristo's main thing that he does. He's one of the 2 characters right now that only has 5 specials because this particular card is so good. He's got a 4 make an additional attack, but the additional attack can be played face down. This goes back to our design theory of, everybody. I don't know how many times I've tried to make Daredevil's 1 per deck of playing attacks face down good. That's Daredevil, right? Daredevil's got Blind Man's Bluff. Am I thinking of that right? That's the face
You
down
are.
attack?
That is.
That is? Okay. That mechanic of putting attacks face down is super fun. The opponent has to guess the defense if they try to defend it. If they guess wrong, they lose their defense. So it's a very stressful card to play against. And what we made sure we gave him is not a lot of attacks to choose from, but we gave him a 6. If it's successful, you discard 2 cards. So the White Tiger effect. And then we gave him a non-numerical attack that makes you discard a power card, and then that acts as the same one that attacks somebody else. So you don't know if that non-numerical attack's coming through. You don't know if his 6 is coming through. You don't know if a 1 power card is coming through. So he is really hard to play against, and it's what the Count of Monte Cristo should be doing. You don't know what's coming. and then he whipped out something that you weren't expecting. So we thought that Sean was the brainchild behind that, and I feel like it's super flavorful. So he's one of my favorite characters in the set. And again, remember, guys, all of this stuff is still in playtest. So anything we excitedly tell you about, that doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly how it's going to be in the set. You might open up your packs after 2 more months of playtesting, and that 4 ends up being a 1 per deck. You know, if it's all still going to be based on the playtesting. Currently, it's not, but as you can see from Doug talking in the chat, it is probably one of the most powerful non-1 per decks in the set right now. We've got next Cthulhu. We went through some of Cthulhu's cards. Again, really, we tried to give Cthulhu that feel of him being a reserve character if you want. He's summoning things, you know, going through those.
Impending doom.
Yep. Deja Thoris we've gone through. Deja Thoris has got, she's a little more vanilla with what she does. She's got a big avoid. She's the queen of princess of Helium when they first get there. She ends up being the love interest of John Carter. So we've got her combining a card with a brute force icon for a single attack because they're working together. Whoa, did I just do that? Did I just make it some? Hold on. Hey, that's awesome. All right, guys, I can give you guys emojis now, apparently, with my hands. Yeah, Deja Thoris. Sorry, I'm easily distracted. Deja Thoris is great. So a little more vanilla card. She's a 17-pointer, but the kind of vanilla that you want in a deck. Dr. Watson, Sherlock Holmes' assistant, definitely one of our least expensive characters. He's one of our 16-pointers. He's got a lot of abilities that kind of back up what Holmes does. But he's one of our characters that if you use him with the 221 Baker Street, he gets a venture inherent. So, Dracula. I think let's switch for some of the list. Dave, you're right there. You wanna jump on stage? We'll swap you out with Sean and chat about a few of these. Let's pull Dave up here. Yes, I'm sorry. Watson is his partner, not his assistant. Yes, you are correct. Dave, you have to accept the invite to come on stage. I see your hand raised. Get up here and join the party, Dave. Can you invite him again? You're invited again. I'm going to go through a character while these two try to figure it out. So Dr. Watson, venture inherent if you're on 221 Baker Street, also has a spy card. Dracula. So Dracula, if you know about us, the NAOL, obviously we play in all the events the NAOL does. We have a close relationship with them. There's a fan set that was designed by people, some of us who are involved with Lazarus Rising Games, that is still used in that set. Still used in that tournament circuit. It's really the impetus of what got us to start doing this, is bringing the entire game back for real. But Dracula's got a pretty similar suite of cards. So if you've used him in that old fan set, you'll notice a lot of similarities. Not exactly. The DZ card, that's the Nightcrawler's target character may not attack or be attacked, non-1 per deck. That will be a 1 per deck pin called Paralyzing Gaze for this version of Dracula. But he's also got some more non-1 per decks to balance out his kit. So very excited about him. He's got a very similar feel to the other one. So the Headless Horseman. Sean, who we just stepped down from the stage, this was really his brainchild. I won't go through it too much because we covered this in the Q&A last night. But Headless Horseman has one of the most, if not the most unique new mechanic that we've seen in Overpower, where he really targets a character and digs in on him and then just relentlessly goes for that character. He gives the character he targets a character with the mark of the Headless. He gets a numerical plus and minus to the defense. And then everything he throws gets a little juice on its secondary effects. And you just choose every attack that you can to throw through him if you're going for the target of the mark, which you usually are. So, great. We've got Hercules is a big fan favorite. How we doing on Dave here? What? He's not on there with his Dave. You raised your hand. Maybe leave the room and come back in. But yeah, let's bring Keith up. I see Keith in the audience there. We'll get one of the other founders. Now, Keith, if you remember from our podcast, so Keith just raised his hand, so he's ready to go. Keith, you have been invited. Keith, you have accepted. You are muted. You have to unmute yourself. There we go. How you doing, Keith? Can't hear him. Keith, you might have to go into the settings option and do your voice and video and enable your mic or something. But we are not picking up your audio. So, guys, we are flying by the seat of our pants here. So we're gonna keep going through this list. Headless Horseman, Mark of the Headless. Oh, sorry, we moved on to Hercules. So we spoiled it yesterday, but we're gonna show it again because it's just a great piece of Elton Thomasai art. Can I get a top-down view real quick, Ronald, when you get a sec? Actually, you know what? I'll just hold it right here. You're in the middle of trying to get our speakers up. What way goes towards the light? This is our 8 brute force power card. I think we are going to get the top down view here. Hercules is one of our 8 brute force characters. There we go. I love that card. Mount Olympus in the background. He's ready for battle. And again, all this is kind of built around the lore where the Spartans worshipped Hercules. So in this, they're all the Spartans kind of coming back with the Greek gods. So he's not really the leader. Leonidas is the leader of the Spartans, but they're working with him and Zeus. So they're a little bit of the antagonists in the set. Hercules, one of the things we did keep in mind, we really didn't try to design with a mind toward the old set as much. We wanted cards that definitely had a place. We wanted characters that we're going to see play in Golden Age, but we really wanted to make sure the new set was balanced and it as a whole functioned the best. We tried to keep the old set in mind, but it didn't influence a lot of our decisions. Hercules is one of the exceptions where we said, we want to make sure there's a few characters in each of the power types that flesh out the power types that aren't seen as much play. Hercules, definitely, he's a 22-point character, but he's got a small piece of full team defense that he can use, which, we said if we did it on an 8-point character, it's going to be very expensive. They're going to be 22 or 23 points. We saw a great piece of full team defense on Spawn at 21, and he sees a ton of play, too much probably, but he can do any attack from 1 to 9, and he's got an 8 and a 7 on his grid. A 21-point character is not that hard to fit on a team. So we've lowered the threshold of the defense. We've pumped up the cost. He's not a dual grid, not a complete dual grid. He's an 8/6. And we've not given him the same level of other cards. So, we've kind of done a little bit of balancing, but you'll notice as we go through these characters, certain characters that have the ability to balance out the sets. So if you do play Golden Age, you're going to want to use some of these characters. And then, being very silly here, I closed that list. Where did you send me the list? Here we go. All right, so that's Hercules. Invisible Man. We talked about Invisible Man a little bit earlier. Invisible Man has got a lot of he's got like a 0 must be defended by a power card of 5 or greater. He's got a card. I'll talk about my favorite 1 per deck for him. At this point, I don't remember who designed it. The best 1 per deck that I like for Invisible Man, he is a max 6 character, single stat. He's inexpensive to play, but he gets a remainder of game special that if anyone attacks him, he can just avoid it with any intelligence power card. It's just for him. He can't do it for teammates, but when he gets that out, it's like he's learned how to use his invisibility to its full effect and run and hide and do things. And so it becomes incredibly hard to punch through him. And even though he's not throwing 10s or 11s, he's very annoying to have on the board. So that's a strategy choice for your opponent to say, well, I can just ignore Invisible Man because he's not making a huge impact on the battlefield.
But then if you get to a power pack situation or later in the game, he can become a nightmare to have to go through or deal with. That's Invisible Man. Jane Porter, another one of our favorites. Edgar Rice Burroughs. Thing I love about Jane Porter from the new Edgar Rice Burroughs comics is they've really given her a life of her own in addition to just being married to Tarzan. And that's she's very much like a Indiana Jones type. So she's got a team of people. She's got multiple graphic novels where she goes on these archaeology expedition missions. They're great, guys. If you want to pick up, I know a lot of the people talk about stuff for kids. If you guys want to go pick up a great comic for kids that's fun in the superhero realm, but like completely kid friendly, go find those Edgar Rice Burroughs graphic novels. There's 2 out that I've read. I'm spacing on the name. I want to say it's the City of something, but go look up Jane Porter, Edgar Rice Burroughs graphic novels and pick those up. They're wonderful. They're great for kids. As a kid who read a lot of comic books, I would have loved that. So definitely check that out. But Jane's been interesting because Jane, when we talked about the playtesting night, was one of the characters that there was a lot of different. Thank you. I'm getting a beverage. Jane was one of the play groups really didn't like and thought was not a viable character.
Can you hear me at all?
Keith's here.
Oh, hey there. Geez, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I still don't even know what happened, but it's working now.
Pal.
I'm definitely the least tech savvy of all of us. Sorry about that.
It's all right. Well, let me finish talking about
Yeah.
Jane Porter, and then we'll talk about some of the other characters. So, so Jane's been interesting because we love her, our play group, and a couple of the other play groups think she's fantastic. This one play group literally said that they think she's unplayable. So that's one of the great reasons. Keith, you and I talked about this on our podcast, but that's one of the reasons we've intentionally kept the groups insular for phase 1, and now we're kind of letting them mix. Where I know some of the playtesters have been doing a lot online to play between the groups, and we're kind of encouraging that now because we really wanted to see what the initial character selections were and who people gravitated toward. But Keith, I know you have been running the playtest, but I think you haven't had a lot of time to test yourself, have you?
No, unfortunately, I haven't. I mean, I don't have anybody that lives geographically that close where it's easy to get together and play. And just, with my non-Overpower commitments, just haven't really even had the time to, do an online or Zoom game.
Well, we keep you pretty busy running the testing for everyone else, but we've got Joan of Arc, which we talked about. I can't remember. Did you or Dave design Joan of Arc? Can you even remember? At this point, we've done
Dave did.
Oh, Dave designed him. Joan, well, we can talk about Joan, but second half of the alphabet, is there any favorite characters we haven't talked about tonight that you want to chat about?
Yeah, one of them I would say would be a Korak, Tarzan's son.
That's coming up in a few. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Second half.
Yeah, just a couple characters away on the list. Have you haven't gotten to play with Korak yet, right?
No, I mean, honestly, other than actually just building decks myself and then just, running, like pulling some test hands and seeing how that goes, I really haven't had a chance to play any of them, but I have done that with, pretty much all the characters.
So Keith, just so you guys know, he's down in New Jersey where the core design team, we all live near each other in Boston/Rhode Island, which literally it's the entire design team except Keith and Ty Bertrand, who's been designing with us. So unfortunately, sometimes it's a little tough to get the games in with Keith. But so just so you guys know, we'll talk about Korak and we'll go back to the list. So Tarzan's son, we knew we wanted to include him as soon as we got the Edgar Rice Burroughs license. He's got almost as much media out there as Tarzan does. But he's got a very different approach to things, and he's got just go check him out. He's great. He's another great Edgar Rice Burroughs edition. So the way we represented his powers is a lot of the characters that are themed within their you'll notice we have sects of 3 to 4 characters from different areas. We talked yesterday about how we have Lancelot, King Arthur, Morgan Le Fay, and Merlin. That's our 4 chunks from whatever that is, medieval time. We've got Sherlock Holmes and Robin Hood. We've got
Tarzan, Korak, and Jane Porter. You'll start to notice one of the fun things. There used to be mechanics in the game where it would say like, Scarlet Spider can use some of Spider-Man's cards, or like this character can do that with this character's cards, and it was a direct one. We thought that it would be really cool is instead of doing that, which those cards just being able to play another character's specials wasn't generally enough to make the card worth playing. So we've done similar effects, but we've tried to make it either boost a single card that a character already has, or give them an ability that's better when those characters start on the team. So if Korak starts on the team with Jane or Tarzan, he has a level 6 any power card. As you remember from the rules discussion, cards that act as a power card become a power card. He can use it to attack or defend just himself. But if he's on the team with Jane or Tarzan, it becomes one he can use for any of the teammates on the team also. So it gives you the ability to, if you're willing to use up 2 of your slots for specific characters, it gives them the ability to have some full team defense.
Actually, I think you're a little off on that one. I don't think no, he doesn't have the 6 any power. He just has the avoid a 6 or less for himself. That if he's on a team with Tarzan or Jane, then he can use it for the entire team.
That's right. I'm thinking of a different card. So it's a 6 or less of void. Thank you.
Yep.
See, that's why it's good to have a party. We get the other people here. But what's cool about it then is the other 1 per deck that we gave him, because we said, well, we also don't want to do the thing where you have to always use him on a team with other people to be great. And so he's kind of a bigger character than Tarzan. He's like a, very beefy, I guess. I don't know what the correct term is the kids use nowadays, but he's very big and a strong character. So we gave him a card that's very similar. If you watched the coverage for the Seattle tournament that Ty Bertrand was using, it's similar to one of the effects Grunge has. So you can move all the attacks to Korak for remainder of game, and they get a -2 to attack until he's KO'd. So even if you decide not to play him with Jane or Tarzan, you have a way to shift those attacks to him and kind of make him the tanky guy that you want him to be, and use those 6 or less avoids without having to play him on a teammate. So we're really kind of approaching it from that top down, like that we're really trying to say, here's multiple versions of utility for these characters. So, yeah, Keith, anything else about Korak that you wanted to chat about?
Yeah, he actually another reason to consider playing him by himself potentially is he has a venture adder where it's a 1 per deck that's +6. But if you're playing the specific Tarzan mission, then his team is also +2 to defense for the remainder of battle. So another reason if you're playing that mission, then gives you another reason to consider playing Korak.
That's a great point, and that's we didn't proliferate that a ton in the set, but it's a mechanic I really like, which is, the old game had a lot of the cards where if the opponent was using a certain mission set, then there was a boost to something, but it would only go off very randomly. Like if it triggered off a mission set that wasn't very popular, then you'd never get the effect. And any player who plays a CCG knows you're not going to include a card in your deck unless you can control some level of how it works. There's always variance, but you're not just going to be like, I'll put this card and it's not very good unless they're playing Fatal Attraction. So we decided that a big way to make those cards playable was to make it trigger off the mission sets that you use. And so that's gonna kind of help with the theme, and it's gonna influence a little bit the people's choices. And that's, again, really our design is we want everyone to both have choices and have to make choices. So deck design is more interesting. Like I'm playing Korak. There's this one of our mission sets we've talked about, Call of Cthulhu, has this event that I really want to put in the deck, but I also really want to get that ability when I play the Korak card. So we want to give people those choices to build in multiple ways. So even if Korak becomes extremely popular on a deck and is in a lot of the meta, you might not know which version of Korak you're gonna be dealing with throughout the day. And we think that's going to lend to a really healthy meta for what's going on. So let me read through the rest of the list. I did see on our count we've lost a few people, so I'm gonna kind of rapid fire through these, and then Keith, we'll go back and talk about some of your favorites. But we talked about Joan of Arc, John Carter of Mars, one of my personal favorites. I did a lot of the initial design. The Virginia fighting man himself, crazy strong whenever he's in his body, the Mars version of his body. We really tried to represent that with him having some big hits We've got some attacks he can hit the reserve with because he can jump super far, representing his stamina. So John Carter's one of my favorite ones in the set. I'm a big fan. We've got King Arthur. He's a big fan favorite. We gave him a +1 to venture inherent, so a little bit less than you're used to, but really great cards, a little bit of team defense, just a ton of utility. I'd say, and Keith, you tell me what you think from reading all the playtest reports, but I think he's probably the most played character so far. What do you think based on what you've seen?
Yeah, I mean he's seen a ton of play. Poseidon's seen a ton of play.
Yep.
Dr. Watson, I mean probably one of the more popular. Well, especially
Yep.
I mean that was before we kind of altered his inherent. But yeah, I mean definitely way
He's
up there as
still
far as
gonna see a ton of play though. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
so King Arthur's a big one. Korak we just talked about. Lancelot's got some really interesting ones. So we've expanded the design team. I think we told you that. So we've been, thankfully, we've been really lucky to have Greg and Steve Costa, who are players in the NAOL League, if you know them. They and Ty Bertrand joined our team, and they've been really great in helping with the design, and they did a lot. They both contributed. I think Greg did a little more of the heavy lifting, if I'm not wrong, on Lancelot. But Lancelot's got kind of a recurring special effect that's kind of a personal version of what Headless Horseman is doing, where he gets abilities when he uses his sword and shield special, and he can keep fetching it and getting it back. And everything he does is better when he has it out, but he has to go get it to... It's a 1 protect. He has to go get it. But he's one of the first characters we designed where
He's actually one of the ones who don't forget that starts the game with that on him too.
Exactly. So that's a new space that we're in too that hasn't been done before. So he gets to start with sword and shield placed to him, and it doesn't take up a placing slot. It's got a great effect, but it's only remainder of battle, and so you have to design him to keep going and getting that card in order to exploit him. So, yeah. Next, we've got Merlin. You guys have seen the shots of Merlin. Merlin's our only full negator without any payments or things you have to do with the negator in the set at non-1 per deck. You're going to notice multiple characters like Sherlock Holmes have a 1 per deck negate. Other characters have offensive only negates, and then some of the characters like Mina Harker and the Mummy have offensive negates with a cost if you want to play it defensively. This again goes back to the long story about how we price cards and value characters, and we just value negates as one of the most valuable cards in the set. So Merlin's, you saw him, he's a 21 pointer. He is a 7 with a negate, but kind of like the Reavers, that's about where we found the balance. He's got a really interesting inherent that I love, which is getting a free scry before each battle to see if he wants to keep this card on top, kind of shift it to the bottom. And that's been really fun to play with. We've talked Mina Harker to death. I'm not going to go much over her. Poseidon, I think we've gone over a lot too. Poseidon's got a lot. He's got a few big attacks, but he's got a very big mill focus. Even the card itself is named Erosion. So the idea being he's like using the seas and attacking you and washing your stuff away as the tide of Poseidon's power comes in and out. I am going to spoil his 1 per deck. I can't remember if I said this before or not, but we were looking at cards like Industrial Waste and saying, how do we make Industrial Waste good? How do we make discard 5s good? People aren't playing them because it's just 5 cards. We upped it to 7. So he just has discard 7 cards from the draw pile to the dead pile, gets you almost a full hand through the deck if it goes off. And that 2 cards is really the sweet spot where now people are like negating and don't want to get hit with it, whereas 5 before they were dealing with it. It's also paired with our Any Hero promo card that allows you to discard 5. So you're able to build a lot more of a themed mill deck. He also has a non-1 per deck that has a secondary discard effect from the deck. So he really can erode your deck away. That's a big Poseidon ability. Professor Moriarty, talked a lot about him the other day. I think still my favorite, but Count of Monte Cristo's eking his way up there. And Dave designed Moriarty, and I think I told this story, but I'll tell it again quickly. He's an example of someone who we don't all design the same way. I saw Dave's design for Moriarty. I didn't think it was great. I trusted Dave. Dave's a very good player, a very interesting deck builder. And I said, I don't get it, but
do it. Like, let's get it printed. Let's go to playtest. We got the printed cards, and pretty quickly after I built my first deck with Moriarty, I said, I get exactly what he's doing, and he's a blast to play. So he feels exactly like a criminal mastermind that's not really getting in there and fighting, but doing a lot of powerful and interesting meta effects. Ra the Sun God we touched on today. Hope you guys are taking notes as a quiz after. Robin Hood we talked about. Sheriff of Nottingham we talked about. Holmes we talked about yesterday. He's an 8 intelligence character. He's a little bit less expensive. He's the cheapest one on the intelligence side. The reason he's less expensive is he has very powerful abilities, but he does have to trigger them as a secondary effect. So he's got a Irene Adler card where she's defending him with a pistol and he's trying to investigate the crime scene. It's a 5 energy. If successful, the opponent reveals hand and plays open-handed. That card becomes incredibly powerful if he's using 221 Baker Street as his home base, because then you get to make them discard a card from hand. So you'll notice that that's a similar mechanic from the old game whose power level was juiced up. So Holmes has multiple cards actually that interact with that, and Dr. Watson does. So when you pair them together, you get to activate that 221 a lot. What is next? We have got Sun Wukong, who we just talked about. We haven't talked a lot about Tars Tarkas. Again, for our Edgar Rice Burroughs fans, Tars Tarkas is one of their most popular characters. He's one of the 4-armed green aliens. We saw some great Raymond Gay art. If you've noticed our playmats, Raymond's Tars Tarkas is going to be one of our single-player playmats for the Kickstarter. It's an awesome picture. It's a great playmat. Looks gorgeous. Tars Tarkas has a fun inherent where he can always place a basic universe card as an additional placed card. And that was thematic just because he has the weapons. But then what we did is we said, well, we don't just want to put this in there as a one funny, like, oh, he's got a 4th arm. He can have 4 placed cards. So we gave one of his 1 protects a bonus to hit for each one of his placed cards. And then that placed card is the one that can get it above a threshold that's like easy to block. And again, keeping that in mind, where when he's got a weapon in each hand, he's like one of the best fighters on the planet, and he and John Carter fight together a lot. So he's great. I think he's one of the really strong characters in the set. Tarzan, the big name, probably the most popular character in the set worldwide. The biggest name from ERB. Keith, I want you to talk about Tarzan a little bit, and then we're going to finish up. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We only got about 8 characters after this to list, but you did the design on Tarzan, and I like it quite a bit. So tell us a little bit about what was your approach going into designing Tarzan? Oh, Keith, did we lose you? All right, we have lost Keith on the mic, so I'm going to tell you about Tarzan. One of the things we wanted with Tarzan is he's lived with the apes, and we said this is a guy who's physically weaker than the race of apes that he lives with. I'm not sure how to say it, but it's Mangi, I think, or Mangi. But it's a fictional race of ape that lives in the jungle, made up just for the Tarzan books. But they're huge. Kerchak, the head of them, is kind of a cruel leader of the pack that doesn't love that Tarzan's there. They end up having a battle at the end, and Tarzan ends up becoming the leader of the tribe. But we wanted to represent the way Tarzan can stand toe-to-toe with somebody like Kerchak, who's way bigger. We gave him an inherent ability that he's got a 5 intelligence. He's very smart, established in the books. He teaches himself to read English and understand what the words are.
Oh, am I back?
Hey, you're back.
Hey, I'm back.
Welcome to the party.
Yes.
So I was just saying, so Tarzan in the books actually teaches himself to read English and understand it. And until he meets Jane, he's never heard it. So he doesn't know how to make the sounds, but he actually can read the book. He finds his parents who were killed by Kerchak. He finds their old books and teaches himself to read from it. So he's very bright. And so Keith gave him an inherent ability, which is he can avoid any brute force attacks with an intelligence power card. So it kind of gives him that flavor of like, you can get at him in other ways, but if you're just coming at him with brute force, he's done that a lot. He's smart. He knows how to deal with it in how he fights.
And so I really like, Keith, kudos to you. I love that inherent ability on Tarzan.
Thank you.
What else about, so I was asking you, Keith, what was your approach to designing a character like Tarzan?
Just one of the things that felt up, obviously most important, flavorful to represent the character, but just to show that he's not just, even though he might not be the most well-spoken in the beginning, that I mean the character does grow over the course of all the novels, all the lore, and just to represent that he's more than just dumb-sounding ape man. Sort of sounds like Hulk, So it's just to represent that he goes back and he has this whole estate back in England, and just again more than just Jungle Man.
Yeah, well, I think he did great. He's definitely can hang with the other characters. He's got we call a confusion effect. He can get in there, and this again, we think about every one of these effects. He goes into the groups of animals and is able to like deal with one and isolate them and fight them while the other ones can't get at him. And with his positioning and his swinging, so we gave him a avoid a universe card in the opponent's turn ends, which is how we're dealing with the way confusion used to be worded, which is avoid all attacks from a universe card, kind of confusing. But he gets that effect, which in our version generally works with both ally cards and teamwork cards. So
yeah. We wanted to represent that he that he could be isolated and not let the other people do exactly what they want. So that's why we expanded it from more than just a regular confusion that would affect teamworks to just basically any basic universe card.
Yeah, awesome. So let's run through this. I know I'm so chatty, guys. I told you I was going to go right through it. Three Musketeers, we talked to death. Time Traveler, we've talked a lot about. Wicked Witch and Zeus, we talked about when we went through the cards. Zorro is super fun, really flavorful. Zorro, the ones that were on your power cards in the power card set, they're the 8s in this set. So Zorro is an 8 combat character. We just got the art in about a week ago from Gonzo Man, one of the artists that did this, the playmat here that you guys have seen so many times, did all of our initial promo cards and knocked it out of the park with the Zorro art. When we got to the final forms of that art, it's very cool. I really like it a lot. I'm glad that his art's going to be in the set along with all the new artists that the Joe Prado Studio and Kirby Comics have brought on. So super psyched about that. Guys, we only have a couple left. We've talked about Victory Harbin. Victory Harbin is another great character with some great graphic novels. If you want, again, I know we have people on here that have kids. If you want to pick up another great graphic novel, she is just a really fun, intelligent, great role model for kid type, superhero characters to look up to. She's trained in knives and archery and jujitsu. If you guys are still trying to figure out
it was as part of the lore. If I can hop in here, Joe, she actually does train and spends like summers with Tarzan and Jane at their estate. So I mean, she is built in, sort of the within when it comes to the Tarzan universe. I mean, she's right there, with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have a character called Jason Gridley who jumps around and kind of interacts with a lot of them too. And I haven't read as much of it. I read when I was a kid more. I haven't read as much of it now as an adult. I just reread the first 2 John Carter books. I'm just about to read Tarzan of the Apes again. I ordered a paperback. But Jason Gridley, if I remember right, and if I've read about him now, is a little more like a Rick Jones character, kind of interacts with them all, but isn't necessarily like the main guy on the missions. If you know Rick Jones from the Marvel comics. So anyway, yeah. Anything else about Victory Harbin, Keith? I know you did a lot of the initial research when we first started to get into this license.
Yeah, I mean, just we made her to be able to do a lot of different things from reserve as well as being on the front line. So, again, we wanted to create with a lot of the characters, not just one way to play it, but, if you want to go build A, then it can do that. And if you want to do build B with a different mechanic, or for, different reason, then that can be done too.
Absolutely. All right. And I think that just brings us to a couple characters that we've already shown. So hold on, I closed my thing here. The Mummy, we went over a bunch of the Mummy cards, kind of a relentless guy, and then the Angry Mob, who has a lot of abilities where they swarm and they do different things like that. So Guys, that is your set. That is your 40 characters. Your 41st character is going to remain hidden as a alternative version to characters that exist. But you basically know the set at this point. So we tried to talk a little bit about cards for each one of the characters and different things that you do. So, great call, guys. It's fun for us to watch you guys try to figure it out from all the photos and stuff too. But it got to a point where when the captain, I think it was him who posted the list yesterday in the Discord, and we said, all right, these guys basically have everything. Let's just let the cat out of the bag on the set list. So those are the characters that you get. We're not giving away all the mechanics for them, but we hope you get an idea of a little bit of the flavor and how they mix in with the different stuff from the old game and the environment they're going to make for the first core set. So, what are we up to?
Really love it.
Ronald's bringing it up. Guys, we are at 163,000. Wow. Guys, thank you so much. That's such a fabulous number. So,
yeah, thank everybody for all their support.
All the support's been great, guys. That's great. I can't believe we hit that quite so fast. We've got loftier goals. We've got a lot of marketing. We got a lot of partnerships with influencers. We've got a lot of guests that we're going to have come back. So stay tuned for the whole month. Stay tuned for. Remember, if you guys want to add anything on to your tiers throughout the month, if different things pop up, if different deals pop up at any point on add-ons, anything like that, you can always add on to stuff later. If you just get a hankering for that, Joe Jesco Moons Over Mars playmat, you should add it. A lot of this stuff you're only going to get here, and this is the first edition. So, we are seeing that the collectability model is working. So cards that we produce in a limited format or in a limited edition format are seeing their value go up in singles. Okay, we dropped it a little bit. Is that for the whole thing going forward from now on? Okay, guys. Also, too, if you do decide that you want to add any of the starter decks, we had your choice of starter decks at $12.50. We actually just dropped the price, so now you guys can go on there. If you want to add a starter deck, you're going to be able to add that starter deck for $12 even now. So we've dropped a little bit of the price on the starter decks for you. So you're already getting a little bit of a deal from stuff, but that's why we were stopped on that for a minute. And yeah, I'm not really sure. I guess Letty, let's field some questions. If you are still with us, Letty.
I scooped a few questions from all our channels.
Let's go for it. I mean, we're doing this 2 nights in a row, so.
Yeah. Repeat it, so I scooped the updated ones.
Okay, let's do it. Let's see what we got.
So the first one is, how is the current progress of the Kickstarter campaign tracking compared to your internal projections?
We definitely have loftier goals than what we're at right now. We suspected that it was going to get funded pretty fast. I'd say we're right on schedule, right on target of where we expected. We've got a little better. Yeah, you guys, we definitely shot up a little faster than we thought it was going to. But we feel like we're right on schedule to hit the loftier goals that we have set internally. And I think that you're going to see there's so much study and metrics and math behind the Kickstarter. And I think you're just going to see that steady growth over the next week or so. You're going to start to see our advertising pushes. You're going to see, like we said, we've been talking with Steve and Ron, the original guys from Fleer. We definitely plan on doing some content with them, and hopefully bringing you guys some great vids with them where they're going to tell us a little bit about the old game, see some of the new game, and give their feedback on the new game, and just kind of have some fun with them. They're both. I had the pleasure of talking to Ron and Steve both for over an hour each this week. And I basically just fanboyed out. I just said oh, how did you guys decide to do battle sites? How did that story work? Or what was Fleer like back in the day? So any cool stories about that stuff you guys are interested in, we're going to do some interview stuff, and you're going to get to hear some of that. So super cool guys. And we all wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the original design work they did back in the day. So it's great to hear what they did and what their thoughts are on the new stuff, which they're super excited about it. So that's all going to keep going. So to answer the question, we're doing great. We're right where we want to be, and and like we said, this is a love letter to you guys. We're funded. We're funded for the first year. We've got the sets coming out. You're going to see a Top Cow set, even if we don't make another dollar. You're going to see a Top Cow set. You're going to see this third license as soon as we get the contracts done. So even if today this is the most that we make, we're still moving on and we're happy. We did this. We got you guys a set that's going to be able to come out hopefully by April or May fulfillment. Oh, I did want to answer that question. I saw a comment on the Kickstarter. We talked about this last night, but I'll say it again if anyone's here. The reason there's 2 different fulfillments that it talks about, we are ideally printing in our print window in February and fulfilling by April, May. That's in a perfect world what we want to do, but we're setting the deadline as September just because there's things that we are never in control of. And so if something happens and for whatever reason we can't send you the binders or we can't send you the sleeves, if like there's a global pandemic and nothing shipped for 6 months, that's a window that we feel comfortable we will be able to get you the product by, but we're hoping you have everything in hand by April, May. So, yeah, so that's the end of that question. So that's the answer to that question.
Thanks, Joe. We have 2 more questions just to finish up.
Yeah.
Any plans for a co-op mode down the road, such as players versus a big bad guy?
Yeah, we get this one a lot, and I'm always happy to answer it because one, it means that we got some new people in here. Yeah, absolutely. I've said before, one of my shout out to the game Sentinels of the Multiverse. We love that game. If you guys haven't played that, that's a great pickup. It's a game where you pick a deck for a specific superhero, and they're superheroes just from that universe for the game, but they're themed. There's one that's like themed around the Flash, themed around Batman. And then there's a kind of generic, type of bad guy like a mad scientist, or there's a woman who can like control birds and summon a bunch of crows. They have a little card that comes with them, and they have a deck, and it tells you how to autopilot their deck, and then you have to play against the deck. Very similar to what you're talking about. We love that game. It's great. We absolutely intend to build a version of Overpower that you can play with 2 to 4 friends where you're dealing with a big bad. This genre lends itself to that way too well. But I will say it's going to be something when we've got a little bit more bandwidth, as a startup company that's launching, even though as Lazarus Rising Games, we've been able to expand our team to, a series of contractors and then a bunch of departments, and we're working with more people. We still don't have the people we need to be doing the second and the third project. So yes, we're going to get to it. We will make it great for you guys, just like we're doing with this game, but it will be a little bit down the road. So don't expect you probably won't see that till, these first 3 sets are at least play tested and locked up. So.
Right. Last question now. Are there any plans to do more public domain, literary, or myth sets?
We'll do whatever there's demand for. It's gonna. We definitely. I mean, this sort of story we came up with. I've got a script for a comic book that isn't done, but tells kind of the whole story. We are bummed that we really wanted to get this comic book done for the Kickstarter, but we also wanted to be smart and make sure like we can't do it all. We had to make sure we picked the things that we knew we could execute well. And with wanting to, we know we're the new guys on the block. We got to prove ourselves. We didn't want to do anything that we couldn't do very, very well. We knew we wanted to focus on the art. We wanted to really take the time to get a good license for the first few sets. We wanted to lock down an amazing printer. Making a comic book, as much as it's my dream to write a comic book and get it made and drawn, it was one of the first things that we said, we're not going to be able to do that for the Kickstarter. We're just not going to have the time. But I'd still like to do it and get a digital comic out there before you guys get the set to kind of get you hyped about the story of the set. So, yeah. Any other questions, Letty?
That's it.
I'll
We're
answer
good.
one last one that I just saw. How many IPs are you shooting for long term? As many as if people keep buying cards and we can keep running this company, we'll keep going. You know,
we know we can put out a quality product no matter what the IP is. So
absolutely. I'm just chatting with Ronald here, who who is our president. He said he's currently speaking with around 15 different IPs. So that's our major targets for, as we sign them up, we'll schedule them in and we'll announce them. But our plan is to just keep signing them and just keep going. So they said, "Go, Ron." All right, guys. I think that's a couple hours. What time are we at? We're good. We have talked a lot here. Thanks for being with us for the launch party, guys. Thanks for getting us to where we are. We've got New York Comic Con coming up. And oh yeah, what's the booth number? I know it's
4321.
Super easy to remember, guys. So 4321. Come see us at New York Comic Con. Come grab a Raymond Gay card and go meet him and get it signed. He's awesome. I hung out with him at San Diego Comic Con. He's a super nice guy. Come by the booth and show us your pledge and get a Witchblade special, and keep talking to stores and keep talking to your friends about the pledges too. Let's just keep this thing growing.
And Joe, thank you for doing a great job hosting this for the past 2 hours.
No problem. I'm gonna drink something for my voice, though. I think 2 nights in a row is a lot. So, all right, guys. I'm gonna say thanks very much, but keep an eye out.
Everybody.
We have so much great stuff in store for you. So keep checking out Lazarus Rising Games and the Overpower card game, and there's gonna be, we're gonna keep trying to wow you like we did with the commercial, like we did with the art. We got some really cool stuff on the way. So thanks for the support, and we're going to do everything we can to pay it forward to you. All right, guys. Thanks for joining the party.